In a wasteland choked by radiation and toxic air, it's easy to believe that the old world was some kind of great bastion of hope and civility. I suppose any part of history can seem like a halcyon dream when compared to life today, but it's important to remember that the old world wasn't exactly a polite society, regardless of how well armed they were. After all, polite societies don't usually end in atomic fire. For anyone still feeling nostalgic for the back when times, you can find plenty of examples of the kind of society the old world was still haunting the wasteland today. The Sierra Madre Casino's a good start. Whether it's the husks of people skulking around in welded-on hazmat suits, or the unkillable ghosts firing red-hot beams of death from their eyes, that casino harbors plenty of examples of the evil the old world could produce. Take that toxic red blanket surrounding the casino as Exhibit A. Some people make the mistake of thinking that the cloud occurred naturally, a byproduct of some faulty air conditioning system in the villa, but they'd be dead wrong. No, a crime against nature this heinous could only be the work of man. A few years before the Great War, the founder of the Sierra Madre, Frederick Sinclair, was eager to fill his casino with state-of-the-art technology straight from the Big Mountain. Sinclair's hope was to be able to both protect his casino from foreign invasion and provide for any survivors left after the bombs dropped. He must have had some foresight for what was to come, as he nearly bankrupted himself in the process. In the end, he did manage to acquire the technology he desired, while inadvertently agreeing to have his villa become the new test site for a number of Big Mountain's supposedly harmless prototypes. It's not a stretch to believe that the cloud was one of them, coming straight from the Big Mountain's innovative toxins plant. The rest is history. The cloud was unleashed on the villa after the ventilation stopped working, flooding the streets with a haze of red death. Worse yet, hazmat suits made specifically to withstand the cloud came with their own unique drawback. Sure, they let you breathe safely within the cloud, but their metal hinges were easily corroded by it, sealing anyone wearing one inside forever. Another harmless innovation, courtesy of Big Mountain. For years, the Sierra Madre lay dormant, the toxic cloud surrounding it acting as a sort of twisted preservation system. In a way, Sinclair got his wish. His casino was forever protected. Some intrepid folks still made their way to the casino years after, leaving messages like "Gone to the Sierra Madre" on walls in the Mojave, though their stories all end the same way. That was until Elijah. Father Elijah, a former elder of the Mojave's Brotherhood of Steel, arrived at the Sierra Madre like many others, seeking his fortune. Though Elijah's definition of old world treasures may differ from yours and mine. After suffering a crushing defeat at Helios 1 by the NCR, Elijah went looking for a way to put his brotherhood back at the top of the food chain, as well as wreak havoc upon the Republic that had humiliated him. Elijah saw the cloud in the casino's hologram system as the perfect means for his revenge. Problem was, he couldn't gain access to the casino without the help of others. What resulted was a number of failed heists into the Sierra Madre, each ending in betrayal and death. Only when the courier arrived would Elijah finally get his ticket in. We don't know exactly what transpired afterward, whether the courier killed his associates and left Elijah for dead, or ended up helping the old man in his vendetta against the NCR. What we do know is that only the courier walked out of that old world casino. And from that point on, the legend of the Sierra Madre only grew. The courier's visit confirming its existence to all kinds of interested parties, including the NCR. They would make their first expedition to the Sierra Madre a few years after the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, in search of pre-war artifacts. Keeping up their long-standing tradition of using former enemies as a labor force, the NCR had a group of tribals from the now disbanded Legion search the Sierra Madre on small clusters, before eventually giving them full reign of the villa. These raids, however, did not go unnoticed. Taking advantage of the limited NCR supervision, Elijah made contact with the tribals, leaving notes and other small trinkets for them. And in time, the tribals would come to venerate Elijah in the same way they once did Caesar, carrying out his will without question. Elijah used this to his advantage, manipulating these tribals into carrying out his long-awaited revenge. The tribals delivered their supervisors a sabotaged sample of the cloud, specially made by Elijah himself. They gladly accepted the gift and began shipping it towards their larger population centers. Places like the Boneyard, New Vegas, and other NCR territories all played host to a secret biological time bomb, just waiting to go off. The NCR, never knowing when to leave well enough alone, had their own plans for the toxin. Setting up shop on the Lucky 38 casino lobby, they began performing tests, using the cloud on any overly rowdy freesiders they can get their hands on, sentencing countless to a horrific death in the name of their cruel scientific pursuits. But they got results. The NCR had managed to create a strain of the cloud at least 5 times more potent and lethal than its Sierra Madre counterpart. It could kill or corrode anything it came into contact with in a matter of seconds. The NCR had effectively made the most dangerous bioweapon in recent history, fusing old world hate with new world fear. They didn't get to revel in that fact for long, though. As soon after the new strain was created, the Freeside Rebellion was becoming a clear problem for the NCR. But even this was nothing compared to what Elijah had been plotting. After extended fighting with the New Vegas rebels, the NCR's toxic nightmare was unleashed upon the Strip. We don't know exactly how it happened, though most people assume that the New Vegas rebels managed to inadvertently release the new cloud during one of their assaults at the Lucky 38, though there's no doubt in my mind that this was all Elijah's doing. The Strip was soon suffocated by that toxic cloud, killing anyone and everyone unlucky enough to be outdoors when it was unleashed. It spilled over to areas in Freeside as well, only stoking the fire of their bloody revolution. By the end of the day, Sin City had become hell on earth, completely inhospitable for anything that still walked on 2 legs. But it wasn't just Vegas. Large NCR cities like the Boneyard and many other NCR territories were met with the same fate, all victims of Elijah's hatred. There's no telling just how many died in the days that followed. The cloud's destructive effects were felt even as far as Zion Valley and further into Arizona. At long last, Elijah had done it. An entire nation crippled. Not a single bomb dropped. What followed was uncertainty. If it weren't for the survival of a few larger settlements like the Hub and Shady Sands, the NCR may not have survived Elijah's grand scheme. Over time, the NCR developed a way to disperse the cloud from a given area, something that ultimately helped them take back the Boneyard and most surrounding NCR territories. They've done a good enough job cleaning up Elijah's mess, though the damage the cloud has done will never truly go away. Take Vegas, for example. It's been years since the cloud was unleashed on the Strip, and there's still no sign that the NCR plans on doing anything about it. I can't say I blame them, though. Even if they were to disperse the cloud from Vegas, assuming they could even work with this harsher strain, they'd still have to worry about the dust storm covering the rest of the Mojave. Worse still, something tells me that the Strip's new denizens wouldn't take kindly to any more NCR guests. They didn't used to be like that, though. Before the cloud and annexation, the Strip was a kind of paradise in the wastes, a place to booze, gamble, and whore to your heart's content. Folk living in and around Vegas enjoyed general autonomy, so long as you didn't piss off any Securitrons. Things slowly changed when the NCR began to assert their dominance more and more, much to the local gang's annoyance. Freesiders were never really the kindest of folk, but no one deserved what the NCR did to them. When you think about everything that transpired leading up to their rebellion and the endless horrors that Freesiders were put through under NCR rule, well, for the people of New Vegas, enough was enough. But that is a story for another day.